Welcome everybody to this first CLIL-Ren Online Cafè in COVID-19 times. I'm Letizia Cinganotto. I'm a researcher at Indire, which is the National Institute for Documentation, Innovation and Research in Italy. And with me, I have the privilege to have Russell Cross from University of Melbourne and Ana Llinares from Autonomous University in Madrid as co-CLIL-Ren co-conveners of this CLIL Ren. I'm privileged to be one of the three conveners. And first of all, I would like to welcome our participants and tell them that you are not alone, because for privacy reason, you only see your name in among the participants and not the others, because we are recording and we are going to publish the recordings of this video, and so for privacy reasons we chose this particular format in my institute. But you can write in the chat. You see the chat box, you can write there, and we encourage you to write there all questions and curiosities that you want to share with our panelists, and we all can see your names and we all can read your text. So I would like to give the floor to Russell and Ana to talk about CLIL-Ren, CLIL-Ren, and yes, because we are going to host this session together, which is the first of 3 events, and I want them to tell about that.
Okay, thanks very much, Letizia. Hello everybody, and welcome to the first ILA Research Network Café or seminar on CLIL. And thank you very much everybody for attending this session, especially those waking up early or staying up late. This is as Letizia mentioned, this is the first series of 3 short seminars. We have called them cafes. The second one will take place in February and the third one in May, June. And we decided to organize these seminars to sort of keep members of other interested participants engaged, right? Engaged in conversation, discussion, in sharing our research, leading to the next ILA conference. As you know, the last year it was postponed. It had to be cancelled due to COVID-19, and the plan still is to hold the conference this next summer in Groningen. We don't know whether online or face to face, but in any case, we thought it would be interesting to sort of keep the network engaged and alive through these 3 seminars on different topics. These topics, in fact, are related to the 3 main areas of this particular 3-year period of a REN. The first one, ICT, which is the topic of this the current session. The second one, subject literacies. The third one, equity, issues of equity in CLIL and bilingual, multilingual education. So we in order to keep the sessions short, we decided to sort of design them with a format of roundtables, inviting 3 experts, such as the ones that we have today, and getting them to discuss different questions and issues. And of course, then as possible, give the floor to all of you, right, for your participation, your questions, your ideas. So without further ado, I will give the floor back to Letizia, because I think Russell will sort of close the seminar, the session.
Just greetings from Russell. I would like him to say just hello.
Okay, sorry.
Okay, so just hello from Melbourne in Australia. I'm sympathetic to all of those of you who are waking up early or staying up late. So I'm with you in spirit there, but I'm very much looking forward to hearing our speakers share their thoughts and responses to provocations, as well as the question and discussion that comes up. But I have a few words to say at the end as well. But thank you,
okay,
Letizia, and of course our speakers.
Thank you so much. Okay, before opening up the official, let's say, round table, sorry, I would like to give the floor to Gisella Langè, who our Italian teachers definitely know. Gisella Langè is Inspector of Foreign Languages at the Italian Ministry of Education and is the key person who fought towards the introduction of CLIL into Italy, that you know is mandatory since 2010 in all upper secondary schools. So we thought that could be interesting for our participants to have some tips, some inputs from Gisella as far as CLIL is concerned. Thank you, Gisella, for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and thank you very much to all the global experts who are with us today. It's really a world conference being organized. Thank you very much, Letizia. Thank you very much, Indire, for trying their best to keep up with all that's happening in this country and all around the world. All the continents are being represented in this webinar, and I'm particularly happy for this reason. Of course, just few hints on what's happening in Europe. And as you all know, the Council of Europe is always supporting the different activities for languages and CLILs. And I think that many of you would be interested in understanding qu'il y aura jeudi, le 3 décembre, on the 3rd of December, a seminar in English. It will be in English. I copied the title in French, but the webinar will be in English for policy decision makers on languages. And if you just visit the ECML, the European Center for Modern Languages, you will find the possibility of signing up for a seminar which is really focusing on the challenges of language education after COVID-19. Just a few hints on la Commission Européenne, the European Commission, and therefore the political and economical side of our European continent. As you all know, we have been redefining European Union competencies thanks to a recommendation which was approved in 2018. And all the different school systems are harmonizing their education organization on working on these competencies. I just wanted to show you the wheel which represents all the competencies, and as you can see, languages and the digital competence are considered the main wheels of an important mechanism which can build up real citizens and real people with the skills that the 21st century needs. But I don't know whether you're familiar with another important recommendations which were approved in 2019, exactly 1 year after the 8 key competence recommendation. And this council recommendation has got a very, very precise title: a comprehensive approach to the teaching and learning of languages. I'm not talking about this recommendation in detail, of course, but I strongly suggest people from different continents to look at it in the website, and you will find it in 24 different languages. And these recommendations really give the idea of how the European Commission is trying its best to focus both on minimum 3 languages for any European citizen, but also it is focusing on the importance of CLIL and MIL, that is the content and language, being introduced. Just to mention a very, very recent publication which was launched on the 28th of September this year. As you know, the 27th of September or the 26th, exactly the day would be that, is the European Day of Languages. On that day, they launched a new publication, the title is Education Begins with the Language. And you can find both these publications and another one where, again, CLIL best practices in Europe are mentioned. And of course, CLIL and the use of new technologies are, as I was saying, two pillars in any policy documents and in any research or study organized by the Commission. This Education Begins with the Language is actually a thematic report from a program of seminars with peer learning. This is a habit we are having in this country, having one country organizing an event on a particular subject. In this case, the topic was languages, and a country hosts different scholars, teachers, professors from other countries, and all together they discuss and analyze different policies. Again, this is an activity which was organized because of the Council recommendation of a comprehensive approach. In our European continent, recommendations really are of great help because they give you the possibility to organize both meetings, both seminars, and other activities vital. During that particular activity, an important project was launched. The project is called l'Altoparlante. And this is, I'm mentioning this because I know that today we have teachers who are mostly from upper secondary schools, but we also have teachers from primary and lower. L'Altoparlante is a very, very nice project organized by the University of Siena, and which focuses on translanguaging and the use of all the languages which are in a school. Very, very quickly, the last important aspect to focus on our European policies is the vision which is being offered by a European space for education. This European space of education suggests stays abroad, suggests the three-language policy, and particularly it suggests quality education. While you may offer languages, you may offer different activities, but quality education is vital in order to reinforce the European identity. But I mention is also the Erasmus program 21-27 for languages, because within this program, European countries are being involved, but also extra European countries offer the opportunity to organize cross-continental projects. And we have had exceptionally good experiences with other countries. India, for example, in particular, recently with the project organized by Spain, Latvia, and Italy for Indian university. I'm just giving you an example, but I think that Erasmus in the future edition will offer the possibility of staff mobility, learner mobility, and the different projects for all of us. As for Italy, we are working very much on the basis of a network, an excellent network, which is Certilingua. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Certilingua. And recently we had a seminar where people mainly from Finland were present. And I wish we may have other seminars, Letizia, focusing on such experiences. This Certilingua network, in my opinion, is vital to understand because it is not only a European in the sense of European Union. It also involves Russia, for example, and it would be interesting to have maybe some other experiences in other schools in other continents. It is a label of excellent attributed to students who have 2 B2s, who have attended a special course for content and language integrated learning, and who also have had an intercultural experience. All the documents from previous materials are easily to be found on this platform, which we just launched, and it is a platform where you can easily see that the CLIL and Certilingua are the moving wheels. Of course, international projects are part of this new platform. And in case you would like to have some of your materials or any other activities being better explained on this platform, we will be more than happy to host you on it. Thank you very much for your attention, and keep in mind, working globally, working together, we will really totally change this terrible trend of a pandemic, which must end as soon as possible. Grazie.
Thank you very much, Gisella, and that's why we are here today, to be together and try, yes, at a global level to stay close as much as possible. Okay, so now I would like to briefly introduce the three panelists that accepted our invitation. Nikki Oakley. Nikki is Director of Pedagogy at the Consultancy and has worked in the field of face-to-face and distance language education since 1987. She became one of the founding directors of the Consultancy in 2003. Nikki is an international plenary speaker, and she runs workshops and teacher training courses for language teachers all over the world. She's also a well-known author of methodology books on the application of technology to language teaching. Then she's also, she currently also on the editorial board of TESOL Journal, a member of the Oxford University Press ELT expert panel, a consultant for Cambridge University Press Cambridge English Teacher Platform, and a member of the NILE Advisory Board. She authored many books and articles, and I would like just to mention digital literacies, which one is one that I love. And then she's a key expert in, of course, in this field. Thank you, Nikki, for accepting our invitation. Then we have Greg Kessler, professor of instructional technology at Ohio University. He has published extensively and delivered keynotes and featured talks around the world. He has won numerous teaching awards. His research addresses technology, teaching, learning, culture, and language with an emphasis on teacher preparation. He's currently editor of the Calico Equinox book series, Advances in Call, Practice, and Research, and the Language Teaching and Technology Forum in the journal Language Learning and Technology. So many publications. Just to mention one of the latest one, I think it is 2020, Professionalizing Your Use of Technology in English Language Teaching. Then we have Vance. So thank you, Greg, as well for being here. And Vance Stevens has worked in CALL, computer-assisted language learning, for 40 years. He recently moved to Malaysia to practice e-learning via learningtogether.net, a project which he founded in 2009 and which has hosted almost 400 podcasts, but he's going to tell us more about that. Vance worked previously in UAE for 20 years as university level teacher or EFL and academic computing, co-coordinator and materials developer consultant in developing a military language institute and EFL teacher coordinator. Vance is on the editorial board of CALL Journal and also serves on the executive board of APA CALL, and he's been the editor on the internet column for TESOL EJ since 2003. So thank you, Vance, as well. As you can see, just top experts in the field of learning technologies and learning technologies for language learning in particular, which is the topic of this session. So I would like to start with the first provoking question, let's say, for this roundtable, which is, what do you think is the big question for CLIL with respect to this theme, that is learning technologies for CLIL, considering, of course, this critical period due to COVID-19? Who wants to start to take the floor? Maybe Nikki, maybe ladies first, if you agree. Okay.
Thanks, Letizia. I thought you might say that. Great, thank you. Well, first of all, just to thank you very much for inviting me to take part in this roundtable and to be in the company of so many distinguished guests, many of whom I know personally. So lovely to see you all. Yeah, this your invitation got me thinking, Letizia, because of course, you know, I get an email from Letizia. She says we're doing this CLIL roundtable, and I think, well, actually, I know absolutely nothing about CLIL. CLIL is most definitely not my area of expertise. But the area that I am interested in, of course, and that I do have some experience in, is digital technology. So I'm going to focus my answer on that. But of course, the great thing about digital technologies is that they are applicable across any field, right? They relate to CLIL, they relate to absolutely anything in education. So I've kind of got that covered, I guess. To answer the question, though, I mean, I was thinking the big question, there's kind of two big questions that I want to briefly mention separately and then bring them together a little later. The first one, if we're talking about COVID, and you mentioned this earlier, Letizia, or Giselle maybe mentioned this, that all of a sudden teachers are teaching online, right, since March. I mean, I've been teaching online, fully online, since 1997, excuse me. So for, you know, a very, very long time. And I used to be in a minority, and when I would give talks at conferences about technology and teaching online in the early days, literally they would put me in the smallest room in the conference center, and sometimes even in a cupboard under the stairs, or it felt like it, because, you know, nobody cared what was online learning, what was online teaching. It was so minority and so irrelevant, thought most teachers, until March. So of course, one of the big questions now since COVID is, how do we teach whatever we're teaching, CLIL, whatever it may be, how do we do it effectively online? Anybody can get onto, you know, WebEx as we are at the moment and then just talk at the camera as I'm doing. That's not necessarily effective teaching. How do we take our, you know, what we know about good teaching, whether it's for CLIL or English language learning or whatever, how do we take it online and make it effective? So that's the first big question. And I want to think specifically about video conferencing. So this kind of live teaching, although of course, online teaching is live, synchronous teaching, and it's also asynchronous teaching. But let's just focus on this kind of thing, because it's where most teachers seem to be at the moment. I mean, the word Zoom has gone up in, you know, usage across the globe quite phenomenally, thanks to that. So video conferencing is one area. The other area that may seem a little disconnected at the moment is the area of data literacy. So I was involved in writing a book a few years ago with Mark Pegram from the University of Western Australia and Gavin Dudney, my co-director at the consultancy. We wrote a book called Digital Literacies, and we looked at a number of the literacies that we need, and then, you know, how to bring them into English language teaching. We've recently started working on a second edition of the book to be published next year. And one of the literacies that we're making central now, that was not so central when we first published in 2013, what we're making more central now is this idea of data literacy. And exactly what is data literacy? It's something that's just kind of, it seems to have exploded in the last, you know, couple of years. And we can look at data literacy on two levels. On a personal level, so the amount of kind of personal data that we generate through the devices that we use. I mean, the obvious example would be something like a, you know, like a smartwatch or a Fitbit. When you walk around the block, you know, it counts your paces and it can measure your heart rate and so on, and you can have graphs over the week, and you know what I mean, right? So that kind of the quantified self is the term that's being used, right? The personal data that we can generate ourselves in our personal lives. And of course, then data in our professional lives, and a lot of that comes through learning platforms. So if we're learning using something like Moodle or Blackboard or Canvas or whatever it is, we have tons of learning data on our students, and that brings up a whole range of very interesting issues as well that I won't get into at the moment. But to my mind, these are two, I think, big questions for the moment. On the one hand, video conferencing, on the other, data literacy. And I want to bring those together specifically, maybe a little bit later on, but I'll stop there, if that's okay, Letizia.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much, Nikki. And yes, well, very interesting. Of course, I read the 2013 book, Digital Literacy, and looking forward to reading the next one next year. Okay, thank you very much. Now, Greg, maybe you want to take the floor?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, and I am also very glad to be here with Nikki and Vance. I've shared stage with them both before. So it's always great to hear from people of like minds. In fact, as Nikki was talking, I'm like crossing things off my list. Everything that I have to say, I've had the same experience. I taught my first online class in 1998 and have been teaching online since then. I think I've talked to a lot of people about what's happened to education during COVID, and I think maybe the best thing that's come that will help us in education is that nearly everyone in the world who teaches anything anywhere now has at least thought about online instruction. And it may have resulted in some of the worst experiences they've ever had. But that may be good, actually, because it's raising their awareness. We all have kind of a shared foundation now, reference point that we can use to think about how we can do these things better. And similar to what Nikki said, I'm afraid that a lot of what we've done in order to teach during this time is to basically use all of this wonderful technology as a glorified telephone. And that's it. And there's so much more that we can do. I agree about the need for data. We as individuals need to be able to understand our own data better, personally, individually, to understand the data of our students' performance on a daily basis, on a second-by-second basis. I'm really excited about the potential for technology to eventually get rid of the kinds of assessment that we do today, because we should be able to observe what students are able to do instead of having to stop instruction to do a test. And so I think data-driven learning is a huge thing, but that requires people that understand what the data means, and systems that are sophisticated enough to analyze that data in a meaningful way that we as instructors can utilize, and that we could talk about that all day. What I'm most excited about is the potential to use technology to bring us together in meaningful ways, and to create meaningful collaborative experiences that may actually be more meaningful and relevant to whatever we're learning than if we were even face-to-face. So if we could be using artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality to so we can share a virtual space together, and we could design those ourselves. We could use Google Street View. We could use Google Earth. We could be using Google Expeditions. I'm a big fan of Google, as you can tell. There are a lot of options there, but we could be together in a virtual environment that is most salient for whatever it is that we're learning. And I think, I hope that as we're dealing with this crisis, it becomes more obvious that there is so much potential beyond just Zooming. Because I'm afraid that not only will we just be satisfied with Zooming, but once we feel like we're returning to normal, I'm afraid that we may abandon all of this potential and just desperately be seeking to be in a room together, where maybe we're just perpetuating some of the most, I don't know, dull and uninspired approaches to education that we've always had. So just for starters, I'll leave off there.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Greg. I agree. We had at Indire, we had a national survey during the COVID-19, during the first lockdown in spring, to all our teachers in Italy, and about remote teaching, and the Zooming, where we use Cisco, WebEx, and other tools for video conferencing. But that was of course the first and the most popular tool for remote teaching, because teachers just the first idea was to try to duplicate, to just do the same that they were doing face to face. But so on the contrary, we can say that some other teachers were already, and we have a network of schools that are called Avanguardie Educative. That's a sort of a movement of, a network of schools all over Italy working with innovation long before COVID. And so teachers were already used to using these tools, that some of them that you mentioned, for collaborative activities and in presence or maybe in blended hybrid settings. They they were somehow, they took advantages from their knowledge that they already, and their experience that they already had from the past. And of course, everything was different. Everything was easier for them. So that's why we should push towards this sort of new, also through training initiatives in this more collaborative and active and interactive tools. Thank you very much. Vance, you want to share your screen? I'm giving you powers if you want to share your screen. Yes. You're the king now.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. Letizia mentioned earlier about learning together. This is a learning together. Everything I do online is a learning together episode that I tried to archive.
And there was also a specific episode with me and my colleague Daniela Cucurullo that is recorded on your website. So I had the privilege to be one of the protagonists.
Yeah. Did I just post something or not? Yes, I did. Okay.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes. We can see it. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, I base myself at learningtogether.net. And that's the place where all the podcasts are. But there's an index of all 500 of them. This is episode 499. And today, I always like to say in my episodes what day it is. This is the maybe you've mentioned it already, and it's the 27th of November, 2020. It's so important because, I see so many podcasts that people don't mention the dates, and it's kind of like sending a letter and not dating it. But anyway, so there's an archive of all 500 of the episodes, all 499. The 500th, of course, is a big party. It's coming up on Sunday. You're all invited. But anyhow, you can see all of the episodes there. And I'm looking now to see if I can find the one I copied earlier. Yes, my slides. I'm going to when I make slides, I always make them. Oops.
Yes, I would like to say, to tell the participants that in a previous post, I'm going to copy it. Vance also shared a slide so that you can download them. I'm going to copy it now. Maybe if you...
Oh, I'm going to do it. What happened was that it pasted something else. I copied I think, let's see if it does it. There we go. Okay, these are my slides. So... you can go there, you can bring that up because there's a lot of links. So I'm going to go quickly over them, but the depth is in the links on the slides. Okay, so I'm going to share that now so you can see it. And let's see, I'm in Translate. Here we go. Okay, where am I sharing? Okay, here we are. Yep, there it is. Okay, so go back to the beginning and do a presentation mode. It should be okay now. Yeah. All right. So this is where we are on the 27th of November, and we've already introduced this. And this is me, and the slides are really about my 3 questions, but I'll do one at a time, just like everybody else. So the first question is, what do we think about content and language integrated learning? What's the big question? And I thought, before we, Nikki said she wasn't really an expert on this topic in particular. I wouldn't have considered myself to be either, but actually 40 years ago when I started out, when I went to Oman in particular, 1985, we used to call this ESP, English for Special Purposes. I think CLIL came along around the turn of the century. But what we did in Sultan Qaboos University, where I was working, was we set the thing up with English teachers and scientists all coming together a year before the university opened. And they had textbooks, they designed courses and things like that. And when they met the students, they realized the students could not read the textbooks at all. It just went completely over their heads. So the scientists decided they would write their own sort of manuals, sort of watered down versions of the texts. And when they went to give lectures in class, again, the students were having trouble following those lectures. So what the English department decided to do was to go into the lectures and video them with permission. And then we would use those as part of as our course materials. And also, when they wrote out these manuals, this was a time, 1985, where when teachers went to this university, they could choose to have a computer on their desk or a typewriter. a lot of people chose typewriters. At least half of the teachers chose typewriters. But in any event, the scientists were creating their textbooks in IBM DOS, MS-DOS, and I got all the textbooks from the scientists. I went around to them and got all the textbooks and ran a concordance program on them in order to tease out the vocabulary. So this was actually the kinds of things we were doing back then, and that was really CLIL, content and language integrated learning. So anyway, that's the past. Bringing it up to the future, some of the things that I'm quite interested in are what Greg mentioned already, and especially I would like to, if I'm going to learn another language, I would really like to get immersed in that language. And especially when you're talking about online teaching, there are some very compelling environments. My personal favorite is Minecraft. Minecraft is in the upper left of that screen. There's a kid there who built these scale model rockets in Minecraft, and he designed them inside and out to be very faithful to the originals, and he put them there, and I'll show you where, oh, actually there's a link there. You can go and see more about what he did. I was looking for something. I used to be quite interested in Second Life. Nikki was too, about the time that she was into Second Life in her business with Gavin. I was quite into it about that time. But Second Life, I haven't really stayed with it so much, but I did find something here, Una lezione di chimia e biologia tradizionale. That's kind of like the glorified phone that Greg mentioned. It's kind of not really the way you want to use Second Life. Virtual and augmented reality, especially the virtual, like the one that you see here, the Google glasses, those, I think that's the kind of thing I would really like to get into. You can actually do that in Minecraft too, by the way, maybe even in Second Life. But anyway, these are the kind of environments I would think would be interesting for us. So that's basically leads me up to question 2. I would go for another round to take that one up.
Okay, thank you, Vance, and thank you for mentioning virtual worlds. That is one of my research areas as well. In particular, in Italy, we have, and I take the opportunity to give this information to our teachers, Italian teachers. We have Edmondo, which is the Italian, let's say, Second Life, but it's the an educational virtual world that we have only for schools and only for teachers and students. So we have a lot of initiatives, and we've been working a lot with Eike Philip, probably you're familiar with, on language learning, and CLIL in immersive worlds. And we have a lot of teachers using this Second Life, this Edmondo during this period, during the lockdown, as a way to simulate the real class, because students can go there with their avatars, and so it's just a way to recreate somehow the presence, the class, the real class, even if it, of course, is virtual, but it's somehow a way to keep this sort of social-emotional learning alive somehow. Okay, thank you very much. Now, Vance mentioned the second question, which is, I'm going to launch the second question. What is an example of some recent work, ideas, and developments in the area of CLIL and learning technologies that you feel speaks well to this theme? So maybe Nikki, once again, we keep to, but of course feel free to just take the floor if you want to maybe add something. Yes, Nikki. Thank you very much.
All right. I'd like to pick up again on the 2 topics I mentioned for the first question, which was, just to remind you, was video conferencing and big data. So recent developments are interesting because, as we all of us have mentioned before, since March, since COVID, there's been this massive move towards online teaching, which didn't exist before. And most people, I'm sure, here in the audience, if not everybody, now has some experience of teaching live through via video conferencing, whereas before it tended to be a minority of teachers. So one of the things that has happened is that teachers have become aware that it's not that easy to teach effectively through video conferencing, right? And teachers will often fall into this kind of lecture type way of being, because the technology almost lends itself to that. It's not that easy for teachers to immediately deploy a sort of communicative style of teaching, even if you are using a video conferencing platform that has breakout rooms. So breakout rooms is where you could put your students into pairs and small groups and they could do stuff together. But there are plenty of platforms out there, you know, major ones that still don't have breakout rooms, although to be noted is that these platforms are rushing out breakout rooms as quick as they can, because they've realized that this is a major problem, not having spaces where students can go and work alone. But an interesting development in terms of video conferencing that I've been looking at is that, you know, Zoom has become extremely popular. Teams has suddenly appeared, the Microsoft platform. We have WebEx, we have, you know, many others, but there's a couple of new kids on the block now that have appeared. One that you may have heard of is called Engagely. So engage as in to engage people, and then engage L-I at the end, which annoys me like anything. But anyway, that's the way they spell it, Engagely. Engagely, I guess it's pronounced like that, has attracted massive amounts of venture capital, so a lot of money being poured into it. It's being put together with the idea that it tries to replicate a little bit more successfully the classroom by providing, you know, spaces, virtual spaces, breakout rooms, for want of a better word, where students can be more in a kind of a classroomy type environment. So the interface is a little bit different. But what's interesting about Engagely and other similar new platforms is that they're trying to bring in kind of data analytics in which you can track your students' engagement during a video conferencing session, right? So use the teacher, you put them in the breakout rooms. How do you know that they're actually interacting and that they're getting something out of it? Of course, you can move around, but if you have 10 breakout rooms, you're in one, and there's another 9 happening that you don't know what's going on. So the interesting thing about Engagely and another similar new platform called Riff, which is R-I-F-F, Riff, is that they try and integrate this idea of engagement metrics. For example, well, how would you measure your students' engagement, right? What are these numbers? What are these metrics? What do you measure? What they tend to do is try and look at things like the number of turns that each student takes. So if you're in a group of 3, you know, how much do I speak? How much does Greg speak? How much does Letizia speak? And measure that number of terms. Also the length of time that each speaker spends speaking. So who's doing more of the talking, who's doing less of the talking. Possibly the length of your turn. So when I do speak, how long do I speak for? So those kinds of things are fairly easy to quantify, and they can be turned into metrics. Of course, when I hear all of this stuff, I start to think, well, okay, but you know, is it the case that the person who speaks most says the most interesting stuff? This is often not the case, isn't it? I mean, trying to measure how much I speak doesn't mean I'm saying anything interesting or even comprehensible. So this is where this whole idea of data literacy kicks off again. So what are we measuring? We might be measuring numbers and lengths and so on, but what does it mean? It might not mean much. So what I'm trying to say here is that part of data literacy is having a kind of healthy skepticism for data and what is being measured, what are the algorithms, what's behind it, and what does it actually mean? And there's often a bit of a gap there between perhaps the computer scientists who program this stuff and the educationalists like us who need to then interpret it. But I realize I've had a very long term, so if we were on Engagely right now, I would no doubt be the star student, but perhaps not saying anything interesting. So I'll stop there.
Thank you, Nikki. I think it's very interesting issue because, for example, I was thinking about the problem that we have with the language learning with our students in EFL class, for example. That is the balance between the teacher's talking time and the student's talking time, which is something that we should take into account when we try to always speak. While this could be a good opportunity for the teacher to reflect on the the amount of time spent for talking, and maybe encourage more interaction and more students talking time. I mean, that was one of the first reflections, but I think it's, yes, very, very interesting topic. Thank you very much, Nikki. I don't know if Anna or Russell want to say something, to add any comments, or no, it's okay. Just feel free to take the floor whenever you want. Okay, we want to just take the same round. Maybe Greg now. Thank you very much. Sorry, Greg. Yes. Okay.
So yeah. Every time I hear Nikki talk, it always makes me think of things that I want to say. So that's always good. And I think there are two really big picture things I already touched on in the first question, and that is artificial intelligence and virtual reality, or the opportunity to create shared immersive spaces that we can use for a point of reference. And it's interesting because these were things we could do if we were in person together, or if we're meeting virtually, and it really kind of doesn't even matter. Which is nice, because under these circumstances, it doesn't matter, and we get to have this shared experience. I think a lot of times people think of online teaching as being a monolith, and it does tend to regress to the norm of lecturing. And so then we end up just doing this, talking at a bunch of little icons on our screen. But just like face-to-face teaching can take on hundreds, if not thousands, of different forms, depending on who you are and how you interact with people in the classroom, online instruction can take on many, many different forms. I edited a book a couple of years ago through TESOL that was called Online and Hybrid Classrooms. And it was presenting a number of different formats for online instruction. Every single one of the examples was very, very dramatically different, because there is a wide variety of opportunities. But the two things that I would like to just share some examples of that I think are really exciting developments are artificial intelligence. And so there are a number of opportunities to use AI right now to provide for those extensive practice opportunities. Like you can create a chatbot that your students can, as Nikki was suggesting, you've got tools that can analyze how much language you produce, but it doesn't mean it's meaningful. However, it is extensive practice is really important for students, and you can have a chatbot that provides them with some minimal kind of redundant feedback, maybe just grammatical correction, but it allows students to engage in extensive language practice without you having to be constantly replying to them. Right, so the bot is doing that for you, and there are bots that come off the shelf that are easy for that to use, but you can also customize your own. Something like 58% of all the language traffic on the internet is actually bots and not humans. So we're already using them without even thinking about them every day. And if you think that you don't interact with a bot, that means that you've interacted with some really good bots, because they make you think that they're human. But what's really exciting is these shared immersive virtual spaces. And I think Minecraft, as Vance mentioned, is a great opportunity. I mean, you can download the entire country of Denmark in Minecraft, for example, which is one of many, many examples. Similarly, Google Expeditions, if you've ever had the immersive virtual reality experience, it's a very isolating experience, and it's a great immersive experience, because you feel like you are in this space in a lot of ways that can be very important to whatever it is you're studying. But with Google Expeditions, it becomes a shared experience. So if you haven't seen this, you could have a class of 20, 30 people, and one student becomes the guide. And so you could be touring a workspace, you could be touring a vacation space, it could be a real space on our planet, or it could be an imaginary space, or it could be on the surface of another planet. And somebody is in charge of leading the group. So instead of it being an isolating experience where you're all by yourself, You're actually in that space with a number of other people. So, I mean, you're only limited by your own creativity in the way that you design that learning experience. So I find that really, really exciting.
Yes, thank you very much. Right. Also, Google Tour Creator, I think it's something maybe less effective than Google Expedition, but it's another tool that allows to reconstruct, to start from a point, whatever in the globe, and then simulate the journey all over the world.
Right. In fact, Google just announced last week that they're ending expeditions and they're integrating it into Tour Creator. So it's going to be part of the same thing.
The same thing. Okay, so wonderful immersive. Another tool that was very popular among Italian teachers during this period, and has something to do with journeys, is Radio Garden. That is a sort of the global radio with when you click on it, you have this globe popping up, and then you can click on one of the green dots all over the world, and then you can hear the radio channel being broadcasting in that particular place. So it's somehow an immersive experience in terms of listening, because you can listen to the radio that it's being broadcast in that. So for pronunciation and listening skills, being encouraged, it's being used by a lot of teachers during this lockdown. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Vance, I'm giving you the floor. I'm giving you the powers again. No, you still have the powers, so you can share your slides.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's interesting because let's see. Am I on the right one? Yeah, I think so. Okay. There we are. Share. Where's the share button? It must be. I scroll down for the share button. No? Okay. I'm not sharing, so.
Yes. Now it's going.
Okay. Yeah. Interestingly, this slide right here. Let's see if I can get that out of there. It was from Google Expeditions. So that was. I'll talk a little bit about that. I'm going to give some examples of those 4 things. Virtual augmented reality, that's 2, Second Life, and Minecraft. So I'm going to talk a little bit about examples there. So these are things that are addressing the questions that we brought up. So virtual reality, here's some people engaged in virtual reality, which is, this one, by the way, comes from Shaylee Minocha, and she's the one who, or Minocha, I'm not really sure. Do you know Shaylee Minocha? Has anybody heard of her? She's an open university. She has a really nice blog. And if you click there, you can see some of the things she's written about, how she uses virtual reality for things like geology. And this, the link at the bottom here is it goes to Minecraft Mondays, VSTE, that's Virginia Society for Technology and Education, and this is student work. If there's in Minecraft creative mode, when you're flying around, you can use you can go through objects. You can set yourself on a mode where you can go through objects, so you can actually fly through these rocket ships that he set up. There's more about it at the links on that slide. Did I ever post the links on that slide? Anyway, well, the slide, it's Advanced 2020 CLIL. So tinyurl.com, Advanced 2020 CLIL. Augmented reality. Shaylee Minocha posted at that same blog post that I showed you earlier, something about virtual skedaddle, which is taking students on field trips. They can't all go on the field trips. So since sometimes they can't make it, they can put, they built something in Second Life where they have, people can walk there, but it's augmented in that you can, they can impose maps or show geological structures. They can show cross sections of, so all this is, so it's a really good tool for people helping simulate the field trips. Then I was just Googling around, and I found this task-based activities in CLIL, which were multimedia and augmented reality. And there was a video there, which you can play in the slideshow. And it's somebody with Aurasma showing many examples of how Aurasma is used, the augmented reality tool. You're probably familiar with that. But anyway, the video is interesting because it gives a lot of examples. Whoops, I just hit the, sorry, I want to go to the next one. Okay, Second Life is something that I've played with before. Haven't really been into it too much lately. I have some friends who meet there regularly, so I've still got my avatar going. But just to see some of the places that you could visit, I went to a lunar, it's I think National Space NSS Society, National Space Society. And that's, you can go to the moon and you can walk around some of the things that people left there. And then there's also this seascape you can go to and see animals flying around overhead. You can see that at a lot of aquariums also. I was actually looking for something about something I was familiar with at one time about where somebody designed the circulatory system in Second Life, and you could walk through it and learn about it. So I was trying to find that. I couldn't find it, but I did find that someone in Ryerson in 2014, I guess, made something called Vessels. And it is he did an Oculus Rift, and you can see, I couldn't really find out much about it other than the press releases, but that's basically the same thing. So if you want to learn about circulatory system, if that's the content you're trying to teach, there you are. You can have an immersive experience with that. I've written a couple of articles about Second Life, and they have lots of examples. At the time I was writing these, I was sort of studying, finding out what they were doing for education in Second Life. Minecraft is, I mentioned VSTE, VSTE. That's they meet on Mondays. One Monday a month. They call it Minecraft Monday, which is Minecraft Monday in Ohio, where Greg is, but for the rest of the world, it's Minecraft Tuesday. Anyway, a couple of things they do. On the next page, you'll see some links to where you can find out more about these things. There's one guy who's setting up a turtle farm there. Turtle farm is in the 1.14 version. We're up to 1.16 now. But anyway, it has an undersea world. And so this kid was setting up a very realistic simulation of a turtle farm. Map making was another thing that orienteering, something that's very interesting in Minecraft. There are ways you can do it, but it's a real world kind of experience. You learn how to make maps, and there's instructions for that. And then the other thing they were doing was they were making fish hooks and fishing with the fish hooks. And depending on how you varied where you stood or that sort of thing, recording what fish they caught. And that was just an exercise for, again, some data-driven learning. And so here are the references for that. So these are learning together events where I go to Minecraft Monday events and record them. Sometimes I actually record them in video. Sometimes I just blog them. But anyway, more information about all of those things if you're interested. And this is my shtick, Minecraft, EVO Minecraft MOOC, which is at missionsforminecraft.pbworks.com. That's something we're starting up in January when EVO, Electronic Village Online, starts. And the video there is something, I've been making some video tutorials, but that one is about sheep husbandry. And so it's, again, something that there are a lot of things, some people say, what are you doing with Minecraft? Is it in the curriculum? And the answer, of course, is the curriculum is in it. So that's what you got to find out if you're using Minecraft. So I think that probably brings us on to the
Yeah. Don't close your slides, Vance, because I'm going to change the order for the last the last question. So you're going to be the first, but I would like to say something about to our participants, Italian participants, especially the something more about the initiative of EVO, Electronic Village Online, within TESOL International. So you have the session by Vance on Minecraft, but it's a global initiative. It's a free initiative, a series of MOOC starting in January, so mid-January and February. On different topics dealing with languages, with technologies, with CLIL, and I've been running a specific session within AVO with Daniela Cucurullo on TechnoCLIL, and so we have, first of all, we have TechnoCLIL webpage, Facebook page if you want to join us, and then of course we're going to have a new session, TechnoCLIL 2021 in January on CLIL and learning technologies. Okay, thank you, Vance. So now the last question, what do you think might be challenges to making progress in this area? So CLIL and learning technologies, and how could we overcome those? So I'm going to change, if you don't mind, the order so that you are the first. That's why I was asking you not to close the slides, okay? So sorry. If
all
you
right, no problem.
Just do. Okay.
I'll bring it back.
So just the challenges and we have a lot of challenges in especially in this period.
There we go. That's tricky. I have to double click that to make it. There's not a share button. Okay. Anyway, okay. So how could we overcome these challenges? Basically, I've divided them into two things. One is, this is something about virtual reality. Somebody wrote a little blog post that says the availability of content will largely define web VR's success. I kind of agreed with that. He also mentioned things like browser plugins and all kinds of stuff about content, software, and devices. These things have to catch up. The main one, though, the main thing is what I used to call a paradigm shift, the mindset. And Greg touched on this too. When you come together with people and meet people in meaningful experiences. This is really developing a participatory culture. Jeff Kuhn, I think is in Ohio as well, if he's still there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I wrote an article called "Participatory Cultures Professional Development: Preparing Teachers to Use Minecraft in the Classroom," and we talked a lot about the culture that you have to get into in order to actually interact with one another in these meaningful ways, which is where the learning takes place. You know, the learning doesn't take place in Minecraft. You don't learn it by playing Minecraft. You learn from all the incidental things that happen, and especially if you're trying to learn language, content and language, you know. So, and Jeff Kuhn wrote an article in this book called Teachercraft, which is, if you're interested in that kind of thing, it's a free book. There's a link there that you can download it, and lots of articles about how to get into that culture and set up, put Minecraft into your classroom. I think that's fairly much what I'm trying. Yes. Okay. I just and also I've done. EVO, I talked at Letizia's and Daniela's EVO session 2 times, actually. I think one was in 2017, the other was in 2016.
And get ready for the next one, of course.
Oh, sure. I thought this was it. We can just play it in this one, can't we? Okay, anyway, yeah, so if you want to see more about this topic at those sessions, there's videos about this. So.
Okay, thank you very much. And I also have Greg, and I also have Nikki in TechnoCLIL. I've been recruiting all of you. Thank you so much. And of course, we'll be happy if you can join us next year as well. Okay, thank you very much. I
accept already.
Thank you, Vance. Greg, now maybe.
Sure.
Thank
and
you.
I'm there with you too. I'm excited about going anywhere. So I couldn't agree more with Vance as usual. Like I said, these are some great people to share the platform with. And in fact, that Teachercraft book was also written by another faculty member at my university, who happened to be Jeff Kuhn. Got his PhD in my program, and that was another professor in our program, who has since left, but it's a small world, and it's a great book. It's similar in some ways to the book that I was peddling earlier, because each chapter presents a very different perspective on the use of Minecraft. And so you can see it's not a monolith, it's not just one thing. And so I think, and my take on the biggest challenges is very similar to Vance's. I think, like always, the biggest challenge is that we won't recognize the full potential of this paradigm shift. And because some of us who've been involved in computer-assisted language learning for quite a while have long recognized the potential for creating these communities of practice and for engaging people in the participatory culture of the internet and of social media. And yet it's not the mainstream topic that most educators gravitate towards. And I'm hoping that because of this crisis and these experiences, it will become more of a mainstream topic, and there will be more potential for that. But I'm afraid that people will settle for the bare minimum of using this as a glorified telephone, and will not recognize all of the potential that the technology has for really bringing us together. And I think there are so many different ways that we can use so many different kinds of technology to do that. And so these are just a few of the kind of the most elaborate, right? These participatory immersive experiences. I mean, we don't have to go that far. We could we could be going through Wikipedia together and have some sort of shared reference that we use that brings us together. And it could be any sort of social media platform, but I think something that's meaningful regarding what it is that we're studying. Right now, I'm working on a project to help some science education teachers use technology to bring people together. And so we're using some tools like iNaturalist, which is a crowdsourced citizen science tool. So it lets you use your mobile device to catalog, identify, and share information about elements in the environment around you. So plants, trees, animals, bodies of water, whatever, so that you go out and actually interact with the physical world around you while learning about it and sharing that information with others. So we're creating extensive lessons around that. I think that fits perfectly with CLIL. And it's just one more way of bringing people together when they can't be together.
Great, thank you very much, Greg. And yes, you top experts have been talking about the potential of COL, of MOL, and all this video learning technology just long before COVID. So we all hope that this may be a good opportunity for the teachers to take advantage of this potential for future teaching and learning scenarios after COVID, hopefully. Okay, thank you, Nikki.
Okay, thanks, Vance and Greg. And really, I have to agree with both of you. But I think what I was going to say is pretty much aligned to what both of you have said, and that is that basically, I think COVID has helped us all start to use technology and perhaps become aware of the potential. But exactly as both Greg and Vance have said, it's about using the technology in meaningful ways, right? To create connections, to be in environments where opportunities for learning are leveraged in a way. So Vance said a wonderful thing. He said, it's not Minecraft that teaches you to learn a language, right? It's what you do in the environment. And that really, really sums it up for me. So it's not the latest, fanciest video conferencing platform or the latest, fanciest virtual learning environment or the loveliest, nicest, latest, flashiest video-based piece of software that a company comes along and tries to sell your school. That is not going to solve anything. It's not actually about the technology at all. It's about the teaching. And what I worry about is sort of similar to what Greg said, that, we throw ourselves into the technology and we think that's going to sort it out now. Now that we're all using video conferencing, it's all going to be fine. But of course, bad teaching is bad teaching. It doesn't matter what the tool is. Good teaching is good teaching, and you use the tool to support your learning aims. Greg just mentioned a project he was involved in, which made me think of one that we're currently involved in with the British Council in South Africa. And what we're doing is looking at the development of real-time language lessons for primary school students in South Africa using WhatsApp, but real-time lessons. So it happens over a 45-minute period. And to do that, I actually went off and I bought myself, I don't know if you can see this in the thingy there, but this is a Nokia. It's a kind of a it's a sort of a feature phone, but it's internet enabled. So we've been doing demos with this. We've been taking part in these lessons, and I've been a student using this. I mean, look at how you have to type. Do you remember that?
It's quite
2 times to get to
the first
nightmare. It's just a whole different experience to the kinds of phones that those of us in high resource situations are using. So that's been a real eye-opener, and actually very much reinforced for me that it's not the technology. I can use this phone as a student, and I can take part in extremely engaging live lessons. I don't need fancy, expensive internet connections and video conferencing platforms. I can do it on something like this. So using the technology that's available, but in an effective way, I think is the secret going forward. It's not about the technology, it's about the teaching. I'll stop there.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much, Nikki. Yes, of course, we'll agree on this final message, which is the main wrap up, we can say. Thank you very much. Any further comments, maybe, or from Vance or Greg, or no? Okay. So I would say I would leave the floor to Gisella for some final comments, and then to Russell and Anna.
Thank you very much for this very pleasant café. I think though that more than an after dinner, it's a pre-dinner meeting, in the sense that you offer many hints, but it would be nice to explore more in detail some of the sites and the experiences you suggested, since it went very quickly. I took notes, I copied and pasted some of the chat. I tried to answer some of the questions teachers were asking. Yet it's a good way to start.
We need to organize another one. We need to organize an aperitif.
Organize another one, focusing really and showing slides with examples and activities being implemented in different parts. But it has been a really pleasant around the world conversation. And particularly, Vance, I realize you are based in Penang, Malaysia.
Yes.
I won't tell you the first time I visited Penang, Malaysia. It was about half a century ago. It's a beautiful place, and I didn't know they had developed such a good university with so many advanced people. But of course, Malaysia and Kuala Lumpur are leading Far East Asia places. Thank you very much also to the other people from Ohio, which is another very, very interesting middle country where things are also moving quickly. And thank you very much also to Nikki, based in UK. But Nikki is
now in Barcelona.
Yeah, but the light, too much light. I heard someone was in Barcelona. Too much light for being in England at the moment. Okay, thank you very much also to Ana. Very much to Ana Llinares, who was in Viterbo exactly 1 year ago. And
it was the last face-to-face conference that we had. I mean, as Italian Ministry of Education, it was, I think, because it was November, last year, and one of the last conferences.
One of the last conferences.
That was within the ILA CLIL-Ren as well, yes.
Okay, thank you very much from the Ministry of Education, because, such experiences are really good food for our teachers and for schools who really need to understand that everywhere in the world there's a participatory network. I like very much the term, which we don't use so much. We we use sharing, we use the word connect, collaborate. We use all sorts of different words, but participatory, in my opinion, is even stronger. Ok, grazie mille e speriamo di vederci in Italia.
Yes, everybody to Italy soon, hopefully. Yeah, great. Thank you very much, of course, on behalf of my institute as well, Indire Institute. Thank you for accepting our invitation. And of course, thank you on behalf of ILA CLIL-Ren. And I would like to leave the floor to Ana and Russell.
Russell, please. I think we're short of time.
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to, all I just want to say is really thank you, Letizia, for setting up today's conference, the first of our cafes, and the amazing panel that you were able to organize with Indire's support. So thank you so much for all the work that went into that. And we're really looking forward to everyone who can make it to our next 2 webinars or cafes that we have coming up. One at the end of February that will be moderated with Ana on subject literacies in CLIL, and the final one in May I'll moderate around equity and CLIL. And hopefully between ICT, subject literacies, and equity, we stimulate a lot of discussion and thinking so that we can meet together at ILA and have hopefully some face-to-face participatory action. Not that the affordances that we've had using these technologies tonight, not better or worse, just different. And I actually think Nikki's very final point about it's not really the technology, but it's how the teachers use it, is really quite sobering, because they do become more flashy and exciting to look at and play with. But if it reminds me of when they brought interactive whiteboards into the classroom, everyone just used them like a normal whiteboard. It was really a lost opportunity. So thank you to all of our panelists. Thank you, Letizia. Thank you to my colleague, Ana, who's also been helping with all of these, the Ministry of Education, Indire, and of course, all the participants who stuck with us for the full time. We picked in a lot there. It's been great. Thank you for being part of the REN. And you can visit CLIL-Ren.org for more information about the subject literacies and equity cafes that are coming up later.
Okay, thank you very much. I just want to remind everybody that this event has been recorded, and so we're going to share the video recordings through our channels, our institutional channels in Italy, Indire, but also through CLIL-Ren website. Ana, just a few words for your final greeting.
Well, the same. Thanks very much, Letizia, for this wonderful organization. When we decided to do something with the CLIL-Ren and we planned these 3 cafes, well, I think it was quite challenging, but at the end of the day, we've divided the work very nicely. I think we've addressed 2 topics, 2 areas within CLIL that are really relevant. And again, you know, I want to pick on Nikki's also last point. CLIL, ICT, subject literacies, equity in education is all about education, no matter whether we're talking about first, second language education, subject education. So thank you very much for all the insights, very interesting insights that we have received today, and hope to see you soon somewhere, hopefully face-to-face at a conference. In the meantime, online, which is also productive and nice. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nice to see everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.